Good morning. Welcome. I want to thank everybody for taking the time today and joining us for our webinar. My name is Anthony Sinevi. I work for Sikich, which is a Microsoft partner. We focus on enterprise business solutions, implementations, and licensing. Today, we're joined by Asta Patel from Microsoft. She's going to give us a demo of the Microsoft Salesforce Copilot. At the end, we'll go over some of our frequently asked questions, and then we'll talk about next steps that we can help you get started.
Hi, everyone. Like Anthony mentioned, I'm Asa Patel. I'm a technical specialist here at Microsoft. I'll be walking through a high-level overview of what Microsoft Copilot for Sales is, and then we'll dive right into the demo. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing this and go into my slide deck. Give me 1 second. All right, Anthony, can you confirm you can see my screen okay?
I can.
All right, perfect. So talking about transforming sales productivity, right? So being part of the sales organization myself, we all know that a CRM is only as good as the data that's in it and how easy it is to use. So writing email responses from scratch can be time intensive and extremely repetitive. Even when you're composing those emails, time spent searching for relevant information can take a lot of time. You're bouncing back and forth between your CRM, your documents, you're looking up account specific details, all that just to write an email back to your customers. So hours each day is being devoted to recapping those. And a personal challenge for me as a technical specialist is just trying to take notes during a meeting, right? And recapping a meeting accurately in a way that it doesn't distract me from the attention to and the conversation with my customers. And these are just very common challenges that lead to, more click, duplicate efforts, and ultimately low user adoption of a CRM tool. And this is where we see a huge opportunity for AI as a sales assistant and a productivity booster. So AI is really poised to reimagine the sales experience for the better by helping sellers cut the task of doing everything manually. So now we're automating and simplifying email management. We're taking notes and entering data so sellers can focus on building those relationships. AI can also surface, the right information at the right time in the flow of work. So sellers can answer customer questions immediately and build that credibility with their customers. It also helps keep the momentum rolling so sellers can crush the sale with AI-powered recommendations and reminders when deals are going cold, maybe when deadlines are coming, and any account-specific updates occur. And lastly, AI really helps sellers continuously improve by providing real-time analysis of customer interactions and coaching insights so sellers know what works and what doesn't. And this is where Microsoft came up with Microsoft Copilot for Sales, right? So this is an AI assistant designed for sales team to really maximize productivity and help close more deals. So it brings sales insights, it brings recommendations and next-gen AI into the tools that sellers use daily. So, we use Outlook, Teams, and Word on a daily. So it cuts down that tedious task for sellers like switching between collaboration and productivity apps and their CRM systems really update the right information and searching manually for the right information to answer a question or create a document. So together, sellers can now harness the benefits of Gen AI across all the workflows and productivity surfaces seamlessly. Um, and some of the key benefits I want to highlight, and you'll see it on the screen as well. Like I said, first and foremost, sellers will stay in their flow of work in a familiar application such as Office 365 and Teams. So there's a reduction of clicks with automated data entry. Then you get conversation intelligence capabilities that you'll see in a second here today for Teams calls. So it includes executive call summaries, transcripts, really helpful KPIs, and customized reminders that are served up by AI to act as a personal coach designed to help sellers move each sale forward. And the beauty of this is that it easily connects with Dynamics and Salesforce. So it brings in both of those CRM data into the flow of work. So again, with the risk of sounding a little cheesy, Copilot for Sales is really changing the game. So it's helping sellers do what they do best and changing the perception of CRM as a hindrance on their day-to-day to an empowerment tool to make them more successful. So I'm going to go ahead and hop into my demo now. So essentially, I'm going to start off my day in Outlook like I normally do, right? So I'm here in my Outlook. I see all the emails that that I have. And I see an email from Brad Fisher. Now, I do recognize Brad Fisher, but I'm not sure exactly some of the details about his background, maybe what opportunities I worked with him on. In the past, I would have needed to load up CRM, find the opportunity, look up relevant information, spend about 15 minutes trying to respond to the email, right? But using Copilot for Sales, I was able to open up this sidecar experience. It uses embedded GPT technology, and my job's getting a lot more easier. So right away, I can see that this contact is already in my CRM. I can see the account that it's associated with, any opportunities associated with the account. By clicking on the contact itself, I can write any private notes, maybe conversations that we've had or known interests. If I were to get on a call with Brad, maybe in the next 30 minutes, I can use my private notes as conversation starters just to be a little bit more personable as well. Um, we also have contact details, opportunities, and accounts associated with him, as well as recent activities, whether they were emails or meetings that I've had with him in the past or that are upcoming. I can also edit contact details right from here. So if there's anything that's out of date, maybe Brad's title changed, maybe his phone number changed, I can go ahead and update this contact information right from here. And once I add that in, it will automatically update in my dynamic CRM, or if I had it connected to my Salesforce CRM, it would automatically sync back there as well. Now, back to the email itself, right? If I wanted to go ahead and respond to Brad over here, I just go ahead and click respond. And again, wait for Copilot Sales to pop up. And I'm going to go ahead and draft an email. Now, with Copilot for Sales, I have a couple of options. So it's leveraging that power of Azure OpenAI, right? So GPT automatically, it sort of generates a suggested reply enriched with content from the data that lives in my CRM. So I have a couple of options to pick from. So I'm going to go ahead and pick reply to an inquiry. In just a few seconds, an email will be automatically drafted for me to review, and you'll notice that it will address the recipient, it will recognize the account that it's connected with, and it will recognize that they wanted to go ahead and schedule a meeting. Again, these are clickable links, right? So it's telling you that this is my source, which is Dynamics. So again, they're hyperlinks so I can trust the source of my data. And right away, we can see how much time is being saved. I didn't have to go and open up my Dynamics CRM or my Salesforce CRM, didn't have to bounce back and forth between application to application. I was just able to stay in my flow of work and get all of this done right in Outlook. Now, I got this suggested draft by Copilot, but I do have the ability to adjust this, right? So if I wanted to go ahead and click adjust draft, I can change the length to be shorter, maybe longer, maybe change the tone to be a little bit more friendlier. And I can also suggest a meeting time. So what this does is it takes a look at my Outlook calendar and it finds times where I'm available and suggests that as a meeting time. So I can go ahead and pick one of those times and I can go ahead and click update. Again, in a couple of seconds, it's going to take in those in consideration and change that. Now you'll notice instead of saying, hey, let's find some time to connect, it's suggesting a time to connect with Brad. The next thing I need to do is go ahead and add this to my email. And maybe if I want to add some human touch, again, this is Copilot. You are the driver in the seat. You can make any changes you want in this email, and then you can send this out as well. So I can go ahead and send this out and get moving into the next email that I have in my inbox. Um, I do want to show another thing that we can do here, which is the ability to actually save this email conversation back into my CRM, right? So if I opened up and clicked save, I have the option to pick which account or contact or opportunity I want this to be attached to. So I can go ahead and attach this to Journey One Consulting because I know Brad works for Journey One Consulting. I can go ahead and save this. Now, if I were to open this in Dynamics, I'd be able to see this email under my timeline for this specific opportunity or account. All right, moving on. I'm going to go ahead and check this email that I have from Warren Worthington. Now, it looks like Warren is the CEO of a global tech investment company, and they're interested in our investment opportunities and they are requesting a presentation. You'll notice that I did not have to read through the entire email, as Copilot on the right-hand side was able to give me a summary of this thread under key information, right? So it saved me a lot of back and forth, maybe a couple of minutes of reading this email. So for example, if you had an email with multiple back and forth, multiple people involved in the email thread, you don't have to go and read through all of those threads. Key email info under Copilot for Sales will summarize the main information so you get an understanding of what were the key highlights, what was discussed, and what you need to know in that conversation. So right now, I'm not sure who Warren really is, but based on the email, I know that he's serious about our services, and I want to check whether he's already in our CRM or not. So Copilot for Sales at the bottom is suggesting that this contact is not in my CRM already. So what I can do is click Add to Dynamics 365. Now, another huge benefit here is that AI has already scraped this email thread and picked up on relevant data in Warren's signature. So we have his first name, last name, job title, email contact information already filled out for us. So right away, it has helped me make sure that my data in my CRM is clean, and it saved me time from having to manually enter all of this contact information. And I can go ahead and save this. The next thing I want to do is just respond to the inquiry itself. So maybe this time, instead of using, one of those proposed topics, I can describe the email that I want. So if I go back and click draft an email, I have the ability to actually manually type in the response that I want instead of picking those pre-given options. So maybe I want to say, reply to this inquiry and suggest a discovery call before the presentation. Just because it'll be better for me to get an understanding of what they are looking for in terms of the investment opportunities. So it's really good to have a discovery call before we go ahead and go directly into the presentation with Warren. So I'm going to go ahead and ask Copilot for Sales to create that draft for me. It'll take, again, a couple of seconds and give that in reply. So you'll notice that it's, again, has it hyperlinked, now connected to Dynamics since we saved this contact in my CRM. It's giving a response to all of the things that Warren mentioned. It talks about our investment philosophy. We have a few upcoming investment opportunities I would like to discuss, as well as talks about the presentation, right? So regarding a request for a presentation, we suggest scheduling a discovery call before the presentation. During the discovery call, we can discuss your specific needs and requirements and get a presentation schedule right after. So it's giving a reasoning of why we need a discovery call, and it's taken in consideration exactly the draft that I wanted Copilot to add in here. So you can either go ahead and add this to the email and send it out, or you can, again, adjust it to make it shorter, longer, change the tone as well. Another thing that I wanted to mention is if I were to go back into drafting an email, and if you get similar kinds of email and you're already asking Copilot to maybe suggest a discovery call before a presentation or whatever that might be, you can actually save and favorite the prompts that you're asking Copilot to write. So not So instead of having to type in this every time you're responding to a customer, instead of using the pre-populated options, you can favorite the prompts that you normally use. So remember next time you are there to draft the email. All right. The next thing I want to show you is how we go into our Outlook teams, right? So let's say I have a meeting coming up that I need to prep for, and I can open up my Outlook calendar right here, and I see that I have a follow-up email with someone, um, but I'm not sure who they are. Maybe I need a little bit of recollection into this contact, their opportunity, their account. I can open up that Microsoft Teams invite and open up Copilot for Sales here again. Um, Over here, I can quickly see an opportunity summary so I can get up to speed for the call, right? So I can catch up on crucial deal timelines, account details, estimated revenue from the Dynamics record. So it's telling me that this opportunity is associated with Acme Ventures. I'm the owner of that. We know that this is the estimated revenue as well as this is the estimated close date and it's telling us the topic of the opportunity as well, right? So we get all of the key details about the opportunity so we are up to date and refreshed before we get on a call with Tommy. We are also able to take a look at the updated latest activities. So I know that I need to send an updated proposal to Tommy by this date. So all of that is over here before I get on a call with Tommy itself, right? Now, let's say I've already had a meeting with somebody which I've asked for consent to record. Copilot for Sales will automatically send me a pop-up that tells me that it's finished analyzing my call. And all I really need to do is go ahead and open up the summary. Once I open that summary, I get something like this. Now, this is effectively my play-by-play of the call itself. So I can take a look at what was said, who said it, and I'm also provided with sentiment analysis, right? So green is good, red maybe not so good, but it's helpful for me as a seller so I know where there are opportunities for coaching and improvement. So if I were to drill in deeper and see why there was maybe a negative sentiment, on the right-hand side, it takes me right into that conversation, and I can see that we talked about pricing and they were disappointed with the proposal that I sent over. So just helpful for me as a seller to know what might have caused that negative sentiment. I also have a recap of the call with a few summarized highlights as well as follow-ups. So I can take a look at, who was the stakeholder, what was the main topics that were covered during this meeting. They expressed interest in training and testimonials. And again, I can click into this and jump right into the transcript where this was discussed as well. So if I wanted to go ahead and read the entire conversation, I have the ability to do that. We also have a few follow-ups. So again, especially for me as a seller, I really like to be part of the conversation with the client instead of jotting down all the follow-ups. So Copilot does that job for me. So I know that I need to provide an update to Jane by Monday, and I know that I need to send some links to her by tomorrow. And I can also take this a step further and create a task within Dynamics itself, right? So I have all of this information in here and I can provide a task and either make myself the owner or I can find a record and connect it that way and create a task. And if I were to go into my Dynamics CRM, I know what I need to get done for that day. We then have the Mentions tab. Now, this helps keep track of keywords, brands, questions, and people that were mentioned. Again, by clicking on all of them, takes me right into the conversation. I can zoom around and get additional context for when they were mentioned on the call. Specifically for me as a seller, the parts that I really look for are questions asked by sellers as well as questions asked by others, right? So if I'm going back and sending them a follow-up email, I know that I need to maybe look through the questions that were asked by the customer, make sure I'm answering all of the ones that I did not have the answer to when I was on a call with them. So just really great ways to make sure that we are listening to the customer and following up with them with accurate information. So right off the bat, again, I'm getting really helpful information here, but then we have the details section. So what this does, it helps me to review conversational KPIs like talk to listen ratio, searches per conversation, and the average pause time. So right off the bat, I can see if I'm dominating the conversation or not, or if I could do a better job of listening. Um, and just ways if you have a new sales agents that's joining, and as a sales manager, these are some helpful KPIs that you want to keep track of in terms of how your sellers are doing. Copilot for Sales offers that ability to do that as well. Now, the other thing that we can do is, let's say if I had a colleague that was not able to join this conversation or the meeting with the client, I have the ability to give him the summary by going back to my recap section and clicking copy to clipboard, opening up the conversation with my colleague, and I can go ahead and paste that information right here. So again, what it's doing is it's providing him the highlights and the follow-ups from the call itself. So he doesn't have to go ahead and watch the entire recording. Um, he can just look at some of the highlights and the main things that he needs to work on. The other thing that we can do is actually pull up Copilot for Sales within the chat Teams chat and actually send him information about who Jane Baker is. So he doesn't need to open up CRM. He can just open up this card, get the most crucial information that he needs. So he can get Jane Baker's job title, email, company, all of that information. And he does have the option to open this up in Dynamics to really get into the contact details and see further information if he needed to as well. All right. Now, the last thing I want to show you in terms of Teams is how to make this recording actionable and the insights that we just saw actionable with the client, with the customer itself, right? So if I were to go back to my Outlook, open up a email with Jane Baker, you'll notice once I click draft an email, I have the option of summarizing a sales meeting. So what this does is it recognizes that I had a call with Jane Baker that I recorded, and I can go ahead and click summarize a sales meeting. And within a couple of clicks, I will be able to bring in relevant information about what was discussed, including any action items or follow-ups. So you'll notice that it's saying that, hey, wanted to follow up on our call on this date. These were the things that we discussed, stakeholders, proposal pricing, training, testimonials as well. And then based on our discussions, I'll provide you an update by Monday and I'll send you links. So just a really easy way for me to prevent me from multitasking on a call. It really allows me to focus on the customer conversation and understand what's important to them. So the next thing I really need to do is go ahead and add this to the email and send this out to Jane Baker. Now that I've kind of showed you Teams and Outlook, I want to jump into what this looks like if you were to see Copilot for Sales in action for opening up Word or PowerPoint and have those enriched CRM scenarios. So I'm going to switch into that part over here. So as I mentioned earlier, Copilot for Sales, you're able to empower sellers in the tools that they use on a daily. And sometimes I'm using Word and PowerPoint on the daily too. So we're able to get all of the benefits of Copilot for M365, but also connect it to our Dynamics or Salesforce CRM. So let's take a look at some additional use cases, right? So we've been through Outlook, we've been through Teams, and let's say I want to have some help creating and preparing for a pitch meeting that's coming up with a customer of mine. So what I can do is ask Copilot to help me prep for this pitch meeting, and I can choose a specific sales meeting that I was a part of. So basically, I'm asking Copilot to help me prep for the pitch meeting using um, one of the follow-ups that I had with the customer, but also used one of the documents, which is a value proposition document that I've created, right? So it's going to take in consideration all of that and generate a report for me in just a matter of seconds. So you'll notice that Copilot helps me get ready for the pitch meeting, and it's giving me all of the notes that I need to know before I get on a call. So as a technical specialist, I do this pretty often where I'm compiling all my notes in one place and I'm manually sifting through all of the notes that I've taken with a client, maybe through calls, maybe through the different conversations that I'm having with partners. But now Copilot's taking away that burden, right, from users to manually do that. You're able to just give them or just use Word and provide certain collaterals, whether that be sales meeting or the documents that you've created, and help you create and get ready for a pitch meeting. So you'll notice that it includes the highlights, the latest activity for that client, as well as open tasks that we have. And it also summarizes the recent email conversations that I've had with the client itself. Now, additionally, the other thing that I want to show you is, let's say I'm on a team call, a live team call with a client, right? And sometimes Copilot can help you answer questions in real time. So a lot of times when you're on a call, we might be taken off guard with specific questions that our customers are asking during those meetings, and we don't know how to answer that. So instead of having to open up a separate tab and to search for these questions, you can really ask Copilot to get you these questions answered. So you'll notice on the right-hand side, it says, help me answer Eric's question and provide more information on packaging. And Copilot for Sales will gather that information and share all of that in one single pane for you. So you can get an answer to the customer quickly without having to switch tabs or without having to send that as a follow-up. Um, Now, the other thing that I wanted to show you, and this is something that I showed you earlier too, which is having the recap section. But not only is everything seamlessly integrated with notes and brands and keywords, but you also have follow-up tasks with contextual suggested actions. So we see things that were mentioned and things that, on the user side, I have to complete. But I'm able to do that directly in my flow of work in Teams, and it's linked back to my CRM as well. So I can go ahead and update my sales opportunity right from here without having to open, Dynamics or Salesforce. But I'm again able to draft an email follow-up based on the conversation intelligence that I got from Copilot for Sales as well. And finally, what I want to show you is an upcoming feature of Copilot for Sales, which is actually being able to create pitch decks through PowerPoint, right? So similar to what we saw in Word, I'm going to ask Copilot to help me prep for a pitch meeting using some collaterals that I already have. So it would be based on the intro meeting I had with the customer, as well as a standard beverage pitch deck that we use for our clients. It's going to take all of that information in, and it's going to generate something just in a matter of seconds. You can also, choose additional collateral if you'd like to help for it to be more customized as well. I know for me personally, whenever I'm creating a deck, I'm trying to take a look at the past PowerPoints that I've used as collateral. So you can try to combine, a hodgepodge of things and have Copilot create a deck for you before you get on a call with a client as well. So you can choose to adjust it, regenerate it, but it's really up to you on how you want to sort of customize the pitch deck as well as the pitch notes that you get with Word. All right, so that's the end of my demo. Again, just to reiterate, all of these features are really helping sellers do what they do best, which is selling and helping them be successful by being an empowerment tool rather than a hindrance. And that's how and as we wrap up the demo, right? So this is the end of the demo portion, but I do want to transition into the next segment, which is going to address some of the top questions that often arise during these demos. So I'll hand it over to Anthony to kick us off in that session, and then we'll move on to learning a little bit more about Sikich's workshop as well.
Wow, thanks, Asta. That's a lot of information. I think it's amazing how much it's growing, and they're adding almost, it feels like it's on a daily basis. Every time you see it, there's something new that's coming out. I know we got a lot of attendees, and I'm sure if we did questions, we'd be here for hours. So I just want to go over some of the top questions, and hopefully it hits what everyone's thinking already. But there's a lot of organizations already out there using it, including ours, including yours. But for new customers that are concerned about AI and what's going on with their data, how does Microsoft use the customer data to train Copilot for sales?
Yeah, no, that's a really great question, and it's a very common question as well. So, Copilot usually is unlocking, business value by connecting to large language models to the customer's own business data in a really secure, compliant, and privacy-preserving way, right? So, Microsoft does not use customers' data to train the LLMs, right? We believe that customers' data is their data, and we're aligned to our data privacy policy. So AI-powered LLMs are trained on a large but limited corpus of data. So the prompts, responses, and data accessed through Microsoft Graph and Microsoft services aren't really used to train Microsoft Copilot for Sales capabilities for use by other customers. So the foundation models aren't improved through the usage of Copilot by individual customers. So this means that the customer's data is their own data and it's accessible only by the authorized users within their organizations. So rest assured that your data is your data, and we're not using it to train our models or help with Copilot for Sales for other customers.
Oh, that's great. Hopefully that clears it up for a lot of people. And I know I heard some mentioning before, but I wanted to clarify because I think everything we saw today was mainly Microsoft based. But does Copilot for Sales work with other CRMs?
Yes, so Copilot for Sales right now also works with Salesforce CRM. So you're able to connect it to your Salesforce Sales Cloud. So everything you saw in my demo today, it was pulling in Dynamics information, but you can also connect it to Salesforce and it'll pull in the exact objects that you're using in your Sales Cloud and do the exact same features and functionalities.
Awesome. That's nice to hear that it's got some cross-platform support. So I know, like in my organization too, there's a lot of more tech-savvy people that have been using Chat GPT to draft emails and do other tasks. How does this compare with Copilot for Sales versus Chat GPT?
Yeah, so Copilot for Sales really differs from ChatGPT in a way that it directly connects to your CRM, like we saw today, right? So it's leveraging the data that's stored within it to provide accurate and personalized responses to inquiries in your emails. So it's utilizing information that lives in your Dynamics or Salesforce CRM. So it'll include activities, information in your timelines, opportunities, and connected accounts. So it's generating responses that are tailored to specific context of your business interactions. So in contrast, maybe ChatGPT, it really offers a more generalized response. So it lacks that deep integration with CRM data that Copilot provides.
Great. Thanks for clearing that up too. Um, I'm curious too because we're in the States, and we're all mostly English as primary language, but there's Microsoft's a global company, and there's a lot of global customers we have too. Is Copilot for Sales support other languages besides English?
Yes, definitely. So Copilot for Sales supports quite a few languages. The user interface itself supports around 24 languages, and the conversation intelligence piece that we saw is available in around 15 languages. And what I can do is I can share a link to the document in the chat with the entire list of our supported languages.
Great. Yeah, I know that'll help to have reference, and I'm sure that's something that'll be added on to as we keep going.
Yep, of course.
This was something that came up quite a bit for us internally and with our customers. And this is also something I think that started when we, in general, just started recording meetings and Teams. But how do meetings attendees know that Copilot and transcription are on, that their stuff is going to be recorded and analyzed?
Yeah, so the meeting attendees will get a pop-up stating that the transcription and recording were turned on, right? But it's always best practice to let the customers know beforehand and ask for their permission before starting the recording and transcription. For me as a seller, when I'm talking to a client, one of the things that I say is this recording and transcription is going to help us both because it's going to give us all the top highlights and the follow-ups that I can share with you after the conversation as well. So as long as we're being transparent and letting them know there's a pop-up that's going to show up and we're going to go ahead and start the recording, I think that's best practice.
Okay. So I think for my clarification, that means like the same prompt and pop up we got for this call to show that we were going to be recorded and transcribed. That still happens with Copilot too, right?
That's correct, yes.
Great. All right, the last question I have, which is always a big one, because it can be confusing, and this isn't just across this product or any particular vendor offering or solution offering. Is just can you talk a little bit about the licensing for, especially for those on the call that maybe don't have Copilot yet or looking into it? Like, what is it? What do they have to do for licensing to be able to do some of the stuff we saw today?
Yeah, of course. So Copilot for Sales will cost around $50 per user per month, and it works with Salesforce Sales Cloud and Dynamics 365. And it includes Copilot for M365 as well. But maybe for those customers that might already have M365 Copilot, they're able to purchase Copilot for Sales for an additional $20 per user per month. And again, we can dive deeper into licensing. If you guys wanted to learn more, you can reach out to your Microsoft rep, or you can reach out to Sikich as well to learn a little bit more.
Great. I think that covers our top questions. I know we'll get some more coming in that we can try to follow up with individually. But I did want to talk a little bit about our offering. And I think, especially that last question was a little bit of a leading question on my part, because there is a lot to take on. And I think there's quite a few people out there who are not sure where to start and what's next. And that's why Sikich just drafted our 2-day workshop specifically around Copilot for Sales. And there's a lot involved in that. I won't spend a lot of time on the call going over it, but I did just want to give a high level so everyone knows what they can get in that 2 days. But again, it mainly is where do you start? What's the entry point for getting started with Copilot for Sales, especially when you're using an existing CRM, whether it be Microsoft or Salesforce. You need to know what's available. We've seen what's in the demo. There's a lot there, but there's also how does it apply to your organization? Specifically, what are your sellers doing? What are their interactions look like? Where are the areas where we can drive value in using Copilot for Sales with your organization? Also, a part of that too, like I say, it's a leading question is, Sikich being a Microsoft partner, we can help you understand the licensing, show you what you've already got with, say, your sales enterprise license versus adding licenses for additional functionality. And then the main thing is in any CRM system is the training part of it, getting hands-on with your users and making sure that they adopt it and get the best value. That way they can be out selling and spending less time putting in data, going through emails, all the things we saw today. That's going to help them do their job better. And that's the purpose of us spending time with you to go through in these workshop format and see what we can do for you. I know we mentioned on the call before, but if there are any questions or anybody wants to know more and move forward, feel free to reach directly out to us, and we'd be happy to talk to you and see what we can do for you. And that's pretty much all I had. I mean, with that, I'd like to thank everyone for joining today and taking the time to see what Microsoft and Sikich can offer you. And like I said, anything else, feel free to follow up directly. We'd be happy to help.
Yeah, thanks everyone. And we will be sending out the recording once we're done with the webinar, so you will have access to everything you saw today. But thanks for joining.
Thank you. Have a great day.